Going live. Here we go. Right, I think right. So for those of you that are listening, I'll see yous and none in a second. Right. So what we're going to do is it's on the black pastel paper. Going to do the Chrysler Building, a New York one by night. We've done it before with my art class in watercolors in a loose style, but I thought I'll try and do it as a darker evening type scene in pastels. So the original photograph, which I took a few years back, if I can get onto it, is there. So that's the original photograph. That's saw the Chrysler Building in the background. So what we're going to do is do this as a pastel, very loose. Oh, it's done it again. It's done it again. I don't know what happens, why it just goes massive. One sec, people. I don't know whether you can see this or what's happening, but it's gone dead massive. Right, I'm not touching anything. I can see your comment. I'm not touching anything. I'm not going to touch the mouse or the thing again because it keeps. So we've got a black pastel canvas here, and I put a little mark just down here so that I know when I'm going off thing, because I can't get the camera back far enough to show you the whole thing. So this is going to be the top half, and then I'll gradually move the camera down as we go along. So I'm going to put in the building in the background, the Chrysler Building, and just get that sort of started. So I'm going to put in that just with a warmish colouring and just build it up. So not central, just off to the side a little bit. So I'm just coming sort of offside a bit, and that's going to be the Chrysler Building in silhouette. I'm going to put more colours on. I'm just sort of building the shape up. It sort of gets wider as it comes down through here like that, and then just down. Just lock that a bit. And then comes down through here like that. So that's sort of the bulk of the building down there. And you're going to have sky coming in sort of across here like this, down here, sky at this side, and the buildings at this side like that. So that's sort of stuff. So I'm going to get the building in the way I want it. So I'm going to fetch in some darker blues into this building and build the edges up. So I want it to sort of vibrate a bit. So I'm going to do it in patches of. I have to stop this board rattling. Fetch it forward a bit. Lock it. It's just rattling. I'm just getting tighter. Right. So I'm going to put this in patches of colour, so there's that vibration, and allow some of the blacker paper to show through, and see what we get from that. So we are live. Yeah, excellent condition. So just putting it in like that, building it up, and what you've got is it's very Art Deco, this building. So you've got like curved windows coming up through like this area. So I'm not drawing them in. I'm just going to sort of suggest them, and I'm going to darken this down a bit so that it's not too bright. It looks very bright on the picture, but I'm going to darken it down a bit and get it toned down. So a little bit darker colouring just into the top edges. And when I put the sky in, I'm going to have the sky coming round and just blending in. I'm not sort of worried about hard lines. I'm just going to let the sky blend into this. Might just grey this off a little bit. It's just a bit bright for what I want. So I might just sort of grey it off a little bit. I've got a darker grey, just to tone it down a bit. It's just a bit too bright. So I'm putting a bit of green into it, just to take the sting out of the bluer area. Why you're getting such a contrast as well, why it's looking so bright, is because of the black paper, and the camera is picking up the black and then giving you that nice strong contrast. So you've got that into there. I'm going to put some edges into it, so I'm just going to grey it off a little bit with some browns, etc. Just little touches, so that everything has a colour, a vibration to it, rather than it being. So I'm just dotting in little bits of colour. And like I said, you've got this Art Deco feel round here. So you've got this sort of feeling of arches into there like that. And then we'll just build that up and just get it slightly a bit paler as you're coming down. So little bits of colour. See, what I'm trying to get the effect of is light shining up onto these, but not to be bright yellows and greens, because I want it to be in the distance. So just like that, and just this sort of shimmer of greens in amongst it. So you get a sense of the Art Deco without actually drawing it in. And that comes down to about here, like that, a little bit farther. So what I'm going to do now is put the sky in round it. And I want to keep the outside edges of the paper blacker. So I want it to feel nighttime. So I'm going to keep the edges darker and just fetch them in. There's a big wall here if you look at the original picture. But I don't want it to be too solid. So I've got a ready brown, and I'm just going to fetch in some sense of the wall just here, down here. and drag that into the sky a little bit, and just allowing parts of the black just to show through. And you can do the same on the opposite side. So you can put some of this brownie color just around here. And I'm not going to create a silhouette, a hard silhouette. I'm just going to create a sense of colored sky and buildings just down here as well. So into there with that, I'm just going to get one of my big orcas and put some lighter sky in just here. This board is driving me balmy today. I'm just going to fetch it forward, harden it down, drop the pastel on the floor. Right, so putting some orcas in, and like I said, I'm not trying to make this bunny or anything. I'm just trying to let some of the black show through, but still get the sense of color coming in like that. So, and I'll put a little bit over to this side. Down here. This is sort of representing the buildings either side, because these buildings go up taller. So the buildings are up here, and then you've got the black into there. So now we need to go lighter in with the sky and get a sense of the sky. So I need a lighter ochre into there now. So where's my lighter ochre gone? Just vanished as usual. Right, a lighter ochre coming across here. Just touches and allow the other colours to show through. So you're just getting the colours, just allowing colours to show through. And I'm going to put some light ochre just round the edge of the tower, so it just picks it out a little bit and gives a sense of a glow. Just a little bit around there, a little bit into here. But then you do want the blues into there. So you want like an evening feel. So just dragging little bits of the grey through, just to knock the sky back a bit so that it's not solid like that into there. And then I'm going to fetch the sky in properly now. So I'm going to fetch in blues into the sky. Blend it back in. And when I say blend, I mean just drag it in. I don't want a soft blend. I want a sense of movement and vibrancy on this thing. So you see a sense of night sky through it. Just little touches coming around the side of the tower. Down to about there. That's sort of where you want the sky to be, and down to about there. Because the buildings are going away from you like that. So got that going into there. Still got excellent connection. So everything is connecting nice. Just little touches. This board doesn't normally do that. It just wants to be pushed down harder. Stop moving around the board. Right. So blues into here. I'm going to put some ochres in to get a feeling of more of a lighter sky. So it's more evening feel to it. And put some of the same blue into the building. So as it's coming down, it just sort of blends together. A little bit of light ochre just around that edge. It's just a bit too dark, so I'm just putting some, just blend that in a little bit. I'll sharpen that up, just a little feeling of light in parts of the sky. Very bright on the camera, this. It's looking really strong. But I want overlaying colours. The way to do it is just to keep overlaying colours and then let the light sort of, the underneath colours sort of come through in gaps like that. Got to keep standing back from it to see it. Right, a little bit stronger blue here and there now. Just got to get rid of that dark edge around the tower. So I'm just sort of going into the tower, creating the harder edges, and then I'll put some lighter stuff around it. Just want to balance that tower up a bit. Wants to just get a bit broader just there. And then just lighten it up away from the towers, just sort of get a lighter feel. That's all right. I'm just softly scrumbling a little bit of these blues over these colours, so they just blend a little bit in. I'm putting the pastel on. I'm not sort of blending with my fingers. I'm just giving a harder impression of pastel. I should have put some plastic on the floor because I'm standing in broken pastel all the way. So getting this sort of lighter feel, and I'm going to put a little bit of the same light again back into the tower and just create that illusion of the windows, curved arches and windows into there. That's fine, down there like that. And that wants to get lighter as it's coming down. So you want a sort of a sense of light coming down through here and down into this area down here, and then a paler blue. You want a glow from the street lights, from the lights that's coming down below. So you need this sort of feeling of glow down there, a little bit into there. You all right? Yeah. Just dotting it in a bit. That's all right. I think it looks level. It's very difficult when you're working from the side to know whether you've got it level when you're working angle, but I think that looks all right. Right. What you've got to do now is go into the side of the walls and start creating the edges of the walls coming along here. I'm just going to put a few darker marks just for the top. Just to create the top edge a little bit, just a few harder marks into there. Right. So going on around the side of the wall now, I want a darker brown just down here. These are buildings. These are buildings coming here, and I'm just going to let them blend in and blur to the edges. So I'm not sort of going to make them a hard silhouette. So I'm letting them come down and blur at the edges. So you get a sense of buildings in the distance, and they get darker as they come forward. Darken up into this bit and just drag the pencil, the pastel, down into where the black building. This is going to be a black building. I'll put a harder line in a little bit, but this is going to be the top of one of the buildings coming down here and down the edge. And I'll make it harder on this side, but softer on this side and blended in a little bit because it doesn't want to be too solid over that side. So down there, putting that in, little bit of pinks into it, so it's just get a feeling of warmth in there. So, and I'm just putting them in dibs and dabs. like that. So you get this vibrancy on the buildings, and just warming it up as it comes down into where this ochre is down here. So just little touches just to suggest that there's light coming from some of these buildings, but they're not solid. And then just here, where this tall building is going to come down, you've got a sense of light coming down through here. These are dark buildings where I'm just sort of building the edges up and a little bit into there. And that's sort of a pink. And then you just gradually add stronger pinks and colours into it. So you're just moving it down, a stronger sense of reds here and there. Like I said, just touches. Don't try and make a shape. Just touches. You're just trying to create a downward sense of wall just there. I'm going to put some dark edges in just up here. So I'm going to use. I've got a black. I don't really want it to be too severe. So I'm just going to put a bit of black pastel up there and make it broken. I don't want it to be a solid, hard edge down there, so it can be broken. So I'm just dotting it in, and that's sort of suggesting little bits on the top, and that comes down through here like this, down through here. The edge steps out a little bit and just keeps stepping out and fetching it down, and then a harder edge just about there in front of the building. So this harder edge comes along in front of the building through there, and then a harder edge just here like that, and then there's a little tower just in there. I'm just establishing where the darks are, and then I'll sort of tone them down. So up to there, a few blacks up into there, and a few blacks up into here. The paper's black, but this is sort of a solid black, and I'm just sort of dusting it into it and creating some harder edges here and there to suggest tops of buildings coming away and tops of walls, etc. So I've got that into there like that. So what you want to do now is just fetch in different colours into this. I'm going to raise it up a little bit. I'll tell you what, first of all, before I raise it up, I'll just fetch this light down here a bit more. I'll tone it down because it's just a bit too bright. So I'll just tone it down. This is sort of going to be like the street lighting at night. So I'll just tone it down with a sort of a duller ochre, and then gradually pinprick lights in. So just blend into that so it's not so solid. And you're sort of suggesting more buildings going along. So you're just sort of blending this lot into there to create that tower and these edges, and just dragging colour in to suggest distance, that the buildings are going along and dragging along. And you can put some of that ochre here and there into here and just create some ledges and signage, etc., that you think you might have on the building through there. So you're just sort of creating flicks of lines, etc. Now up on the top part up there, on the top right, I want some sort of bluey greys in, because I don't want it to, like I said, I don't want to be too hard. So I'm just dragging some little bits of colour into that, and just creating some colour into there like that, down there and down there, just pulling away from this darker edge that we created and just pulling down from it. That's like a little towery thing just there in front, coming down there like that. Some hard edges there. Put some grey type feelings in to the right hand side. So you just want a few duller greys. I'm trying to find a duller grey. There you go. Just into here, just a few little patches just to suggest edges, things catching they want to be strong angles because you down below looking up. So you want these stronger angles and just creating some sense of things going on just down there. And you can fetch these greys down through here, sort of suggesting light and shade into the buildings below, so they're not just solid units. I'm going to take the easel up a bit for you so that you can see on the camera. So I'm just raising the easel, because if I take it too far back, the camera, to get it in, I will then be trying to reach it, and I can't reach it from there. So I've lifted the canvas up. That mark was just so I knew where I could go to as far as the finger goes, how far down I could go. So I want to sort of put greys in and ochres into these areas here. So just little bits of bluey grey, and just dragging them over, letting them blend down to the sort of the bottom area, which is going to be about there, and that's going to be the road coming up. So a few little bits of bluey greys into there, slightly darker, I think. So I'm just going to get a slightly darker blue here, a slightly darker grey, and just take some of that brightness out of that, so it's not too bright. Just creating that feeling down. Like I said, break the surface of the buildings up, so you're not painting a strong silhouette. Coming down like that. So this wants to come down, and this is coming down the road, and then here and there you have some edges of buildings coming down here. Just take that bright red out as you're coming down through here. Just stepping back. I want just a little sense of the building just moving on farther across there. Tone that blue down. Just dragging this very dark bluey grey into it, so it's not just black all over. You just lose that silhouette like that. And then we're going to start adding ochres into it. So adding some ochres into here and getting some light coming into it. So down through there, little bits, accents coming down. I've got somebody coming upstairs. Hi, oh, you're right. Hi, you're right. So I've got these colours coming down here like that, just these bits of ochres. Just push colour in and let the thing vibrate as though you've got other pastels. The thing to do is to put pastel bits of same colour in different spots, so that it sort of balances. You get a unified sort of colour to it. And I want to get definitely a lighter ochre in coming down here. So a bit lighter into that edge there. A few sort of suggestions of doors, windows, edges into there like that. And gradually get this lighter as it comes down, and then a strong dark at the bottom, and then the lightness off the road. So we've got like into there. It's all right, I'll let you off. Yeah, there's coffee in that over there, biscuits, etc. So what you're trying to get is a sense of glow off the street lights, off the road, and the Chrysler Building just to be in the background, just sort of shaded but light casting onto it. So I'm going to go some paler bluey greys in down here now, just to sort of drag some little bits of light here and there, and just like I said before, just little flicks here and there. Don't try and paint anything too specific, just little patches to suggest lights coming down, a little bit down there like that. I want to make that just there. I want to get a sense of more light. I'm going to put some ochres coming down the side, so I'm just going to go into a lighter ochre and just create. I'm going to separate. On the photograph there's another building with more light just there, so I'm going to separate that building from that building by just flicking in like that and creating this sense of light down here, just a little touch into there, so that you're separating an odd flick just so you can get a feeling of street lights, etc., or things into here, or just lights off the buildings. A little bit down there. This is abstract. It's not meant to be a complete rendition of it. I want a very paler blue, that fine one here, just coming down through here, sort of just leaning towards the green a little bit. So we're just creating little patches of light here and there, coming down there like that. And this is going to be, down here is going to be the road. I'll have to lift the canvas up even more, the easel up even more for you to see. Right, so I'll just push the easel up a bit more. Am I pushing it up? Yeah. I'll take it right up so you get to the bottom of the picture, and then we can come back and have a look at it. There's the tape. So that's the bottom of the picture there. So we're going to have a road in here. So what you want is to get a sense of a little bit of colour into the buildings. Nothing too heavy, nothing too light. Just a little sense of some light just into the sides of these buildings. And down here is where this is sort of, they've got the entrance coming out just here. Now I want some light behind it so that it stands out a little bit. So you've got some little bits of bluey greys just coming down there like that. Put a little bit just into here. It wants to start looking as though it's just getting darker as it gets down to the bottom. So what we want now is to get some silhouette on parts of it. I want more light into that background road. I want more light there, as though there's light in the background, street lights, and the sense of light in the distance, just through that gap there. Bit of yellow. I'm going to put some little bits of brighter patches of yellow in here and there, and just bounce it in, so you feel as though you're looking through to street lights, etc., across there. And I'll put one or two of the same ones just here and there like that, just to create a little feeling of light into there. And I think I need to lighten up with a bit of pinky ochre just down here a little bit. There's a building just down here catching the light a bit. So just a couple of strokes down like that. And then some brighter lights into it. Just down there, and similar light just down there. The whole idea of this is to create a vibrancy to it. Now, what you want is the black, and create some sort of frontages of shops going away at an angle. So you want to be sort of coming from about here, so you can put some severe black edges in, which make the light stand out better. Don't take it right over there, but just put some strong sense of bottom frontages, bottom floors, bottom levels along here. just coming down. Odd flick into these lights, so you just create the illusion that there's other things flicking in amongst it. So don't leave it. Oops, don't leave it all just too light. Just get some odd little bit darker patches in to suggest things going on, street furniture, things like that. Now this wants to be dark down here, so I'm putting this black pastel into there like that, and fetching the dark down and into the bottom of the paper. So we're just getting that dark down into there like that. And then I'm going to draw in the actual entrance that's sticking out, and that wants to be about here. And I'm going to draw it in black underneath, and it wants to come out in front of the light. It wants to come out in front of the light, so the light is silhouetted behind it. And that's sort of the inside of it, as though you're looking through and seeing the columns just inside down there like that. So you've got that into there like that. Blend it in over the side here a little bit, just adding some accents here and there. Actual fact, there's some flags on the original photograph here, but I'm going to put the flags up just a bit higher so that they just catch the eye. So just a little flick for the flag poles like that. And then I'm going to put the flags in maybe a bit higher. And I'm going to put the flags in just in front of it. I want to grey off the building of this. So that's the dark. What you want now is sort of the actual building, the actual level itself. So put that in it's sort of a deepish grey just there like that. Comes down the outside, goes out a bit across there, and then comes down here in front like that. So it just comes down to the floor level like that. And then this is the sort of your street coming up, your pathway coming up. And you've got little suggestions of things going on in the background around the pathway. We might even put some figures in. Blackening that up there. Couldn't just use a black pencil just to create kind of the black pencil won't move because of the pastel, so I'm just going to use a little bit of black pastel and just create the ledge. There's a ledge just across there, so just putting this sort of sense of ledge in down there, and put one or two suggestions of figures just in the background like that, just coming through this archway like that. A bit more dark, just you can even put some sense of figures down here, some darker figures just in the edges down here. Right, so I'll need to lighten that up a bit, that column now. So I'm going to just put some bits of ochre into it, so it doesn't just stay as a grey colour. So I'm putting some ochre in, coming into the building, a little level just underneath. I'll just keep looking at it on the screen to make sure it's looking right in colour. So little bits of ochre in the background, just to continue the feeling of the light showing through into the rest of the farther up city there, just through there, but dark here because that darker building is just there, like that, coming down. And then you want a little bit of blue, so it's catching the light at the edges, so a bit lighter blue than that. Little bit of blue just catching the outside edges of the column. Just pulling that blue down there. Like that. Just drag into that black, so the black isn't too solid. I need some darker lines just down the outside edge, just to separate that light. So I need to just fetch in a little bit darker edge just down there. Just creating an edge over there. I'm just going to lighten up inside that doorway a bit, because it's just a bit too dark. I want the light to be just above that, coming up here like that, down into there, and inside there a little bit. So it just feels like you can look through, and don't make it hard edges, break them up. And then I'm going to use a little bit of white across the top to catch the eye, to catch the light on the top. And take that back into the edge of the building, so that stands out like that. A little odd bit of white just here and there, but you don't want too much. Now the flags are sort of like a red and white, so red, blue and white. So I want a nice strong red in to suggest these two flags into there. A nice bright blue. Have I got a bright blue anywhere? A bright blue, there you go. A nice bright blue. Just to suggest them flags. And then a bit of white in between them. And then the pole, like that. So you're just creating the flags just in front of that. Right, so we've got the darks down here. We need to get some feeling of darks, like I said, silhouettes of figures just in the background, coming through the archway. We've got the black edges here. We need to lighten patches up along here. So you want the tops of this floor down here. So that's the dark windows back there. You can put one or two just disappearing farther, and you can put a little bit of light. Don't make it bright white. Use a little off ochre, a little bit of off ochre, and just create a sense of lights on the tops of these sort of edges of buildings. So just a little odd touch of light here and there, just catching that. And then we need to make the brighter light coming down. So the shop light or building lights or office lights just lighting up through this area here. Odd patch coming down. Just put a bit more light up there. Right. What we want now is road. What we want now is road. We want pathway. So get the a nice sort of warm pink, and we want to create a pathway down here. So this is the pathway running through there, coming out like that to the edges. So that's going to be the path going up through there like that. Lighten that up so it's not just an orange pink. So lighten it up with a few strokes. You've got to sort of get the impression that this area is lit up a bit and reflected lights off parts of that. A little bit of grey into here. And this is sort of the path edge. Like that. That's sort of the edge of the pathway coming down. A few little bits of crazy. Now you can suggest a person in the sort of the shadows by just sort of putting a silhouette around the side of them and blending it in a little bit. So you're just suggesting somebody walking in the shadows. And then we'll put some more people in here. In fact, there's on the original picture I've got people stood here waiting to cross the road. right? So we've got that into there like that. What we want to do now is get dark down in the bottom. So I want a darker area down in the bottom, and I've got, oh, there you go. So a darker area just down here. This will get cropped, the picture, so I'm not worried too much about that edge there. So we're just putting a darker edge down here. Oh, Suzanne, sorry, Suzanne, didn't see you there. Off to Bamborough for the weekend. Very nice. Very nice. I like Bamborough. Get some paintings done then. Right. So we've got shadows down here, and what we want to suggest is cars coming through the road and then reflection. So I'm going to put the bottom of a car just there, and the car wants to be in the shadows, so not bright lit. So this is sort of the bottom edge of the car, and we want, there's a crossroads here, a zebra crossing. So we want to sort of get a feeling of the crossing, not bright white, just sort of, I'm trying to find a grey, a bluey grey, and just create this zebra crossing here. So in the shadow there, and where you want to aim your lines out of that point there, that's your vanishing point just there. So any lines want to be aimed towards that vanishing point, like that. So you're just sort of creating this feeling of a zebra crossing. Going up the road like that. All aimed to that sort of vanishing point. Put a bit more light on it. I'm just sort of deciding where it wants to be, and then put a bit more light in places on it. So a little bit more lighter grey here and there, just a touch on the parts of it. Into there. I want the road now. So I'm gonna sort of put bonny colours. So the darks are here, and the pathway, I'll just get a bit of light. The pathway on the other side is sort of along here, but it's behind traffic. So your pathway edge is along there, going off the picture and across there like that. So that's going to be your pathway, and you can put some, like I said, some feeling of lamps and light just on the top edges. Pull some odd streaks through, but then you've got to now create this illusion of light down here. So you want little varying colors of light, not bright yellows, but I'm going to suggest some bluey grays in here. Just coming down from the pathway, as though there's lights here, just catching these reflections down. And because they are reflections, they don't go off at an angle like that. So they're coming down through here. Downward strokes, and vary them. So we're making them different colours. We're going in with some pinks here and there, some oranges here and there, and then gradually build them up. So a few lights like that. Just downward strokes, creating these edges. Little bits of pinks here and there. I'm just trying to reflect what's above. And then I'm going to put some really hard strokes in, just creating this light on the floor. Just creating some sharp edges for the tops of these sort of first floor offices and shops just down here. The more offices going across there. Right, we need some bright strokes into here to create these edges. So get a nice clean ochre. The best way to get a clean ochre is, any colours, is to get filthy, just get a tissue and just clean your pastel on the edge. And that's sort of the edge of the pathway, the edge of the curb coming down here. A little bit of light. And a shimmer now, a shimmer of light coming down into it. into this pathway. I'm going to put a little bit of more light just up there to help give that sense of reflection down into this. And I'm going to spot a few more sort of grey edges just up here, just to create little patches in there. Bit of bluey grey in here. And you need a darker edge just below the zebra crossing, so you need a sort of a darker edge along the bottom. A lot of the bottom will get cropped off, and you need sort of also with a grey colour just to where's the grey I've just done? I've just put a grey down and lost it. Never mind, I'll find another grey. I put a pastel down and lost it. Right, dead easy. Just level these off a little bit by just going across them. Just letting them disappear into the bottom. And now I need to get some stronger vehicles, etc. into here and some reflected lights off them. Right. What we want is cars. So you want a sort of a grey, and I do realise that I've lost, I don't even know where I've put it. So the cars here, so there's a car coming across, it's a one-way street, so you've got cars on the other side as well, not going away. So there's a car putting the windscreen in with a sort of a grey just across there. And another one just sort of behind it. So I'm just putting a basic windscreen in and another one in the distance there. And I'm going to put one in here, a yellow taxi, a yellow cab, a bit closer. So that's going to be sort of your windscreen area of the pastel. So what you want now is a white across the top of this. This is going to be a white sort of car. So white across the top, just flicked in, a little bit of edge there, a white bonnet like that into there. Do the same for the one behind, just a little touch of white farther back, so don't make it too prominent, and do the same for this one, just off to the behind it slightly. So you've got the top, you've got the bonnet like that into there. And what you want now is actually to get a feeling of light and reflections of it. So you want some yellows into sort of where the lights would be. So just into here, some brighter lights just flicked in, bits of yellows just flicked in like that. Just a little bit at the background one over there. And while you're on, make the yellow cab. That's the windscreen there that we did. So a yellow top to the cab. And the bonnet in there like that. Just going back. Right, we need to get the windscreens to look like windscreens. So you want a black, and you want a clean dark edge under the white. Whoops, I've only got a little bit of black left. A little bit of black to trying to create some sort of sense of reflections in the windows. A little bit of black into there. Black into your cab here. Across the top, black underneath, pull down, so you're separating the taxi from the ground. A little bit of black farther back like that, pull down, and you want the same black underneath this, so just underneath that car there. A little bit of black across the edge. Bit of black in the middle for like radiator, etc. Into there. A little bit of black just back there. And the same back here, just darken down underneath. Little touch in the background. And just creating these. Now, there's a sort of a radiator grill going across the front of these taxis. So just sort of just put that in flicks across there like that. What you need to do now is to get some light into the window. So you want a sort of a bluey grey, and just create a little bit of light down the edges of them windscreens. And a little bit of slash of light hitting them like that. And this cab here. Just catching the front light like that. And then you want a white in, so you get a really sparkle onto it. I'm just going to raise that bonnet up a little bit. Look for the edge. Flick into there. Blend it in a little bit so that it just slightly blurs in that background. And then a stronger white just through that windscreen there like that. Catching. So you're getting light hitting the angles of the windscreens, etc. And then you want some nice reflections off these. So we want the yellows bright for the lights. I might turn that into a cab instead of white. I might just turn that into a cab in the background. And then you want light down from it. So you want to be able to push light down from the cab, and from here you want the same thing. So leave a gap for the dark underneath the car, up from the light, and then pull some lights down, reflections down into the edge there. And I want some more brighter light. I want some whiter light just down there. I'll just clean this pastel a bit. Now be careful that you don't try and do too much. The whole idea is just to be abstract with it. On my photograph, I've got people crossing the road. I don't think I might try and put them in. I don't think I want to put them in too close to that cab, otherwise it will wipe them out. Across there like that. Right, I will put some figures in, but very sort of small in the picture. So just get a little touch of brown. So I want some silhouettes coming through here. So there's a couple back there, but you want somebody coming from about there, just a little bit closer. Just sort of walking through, and then somebody here. I've got somebody here a bit closer, so a bit bigger. So just draw him in first, the shape for him. Just get a shape for him. Like that. A sense of somebody else in the shadow there. Now I need to darken that down a little bit. I want the silhouettes to be just a bit stronger, so just give him some darker legs back there, like that. And this guy here, and I'm not taking his leg all the way down. You've got to, by just pulling the leg so far down, you get that sort of sense of his leg being lifted down there. And we will put somebody crossing the road here. It's raining, so we'll give them a brolly. Just rushing across the road. Right. Lighten this man up. Get his, feel as though he's lit up on the side, so his jacket's lit up a little bit. Little bit of light on the top of that man. Bit of light across the top of that man's head. It just catches the light a bit. And a little bit, I'm going to put a splash of colour onto that brolly, so it's not just black. So I'm just going to get a nice sort of blue. And just create a little bit of edge on that brolly. And the top of the figure. Put another figure here. Tell you what, I'll put a couple of figures just on the other side of the street. Bit of light pink into that man's face. Just a little sense of shadowy edges of buildings just there, and lighten that top of that man up so he's not in too much of a silhouette. This guy's going to get soaked because he's only got a shirt on and no brolly. Going through there, I'll just darken that down a bit. Just adding little bits of colour into some of these people in the distance. I just want to get a little bit more light blended just into there a little bit. And a little sense of reflection off some of these bits. Wet streets after all, so just a little sense of reflection of the people. And a really bright sense of reflection of that taxi lights. Down through there. I'm going to make him smaller, he's just a bit too tall, so I'm just going to lighten up inside of him. A little bit of bluey reflection off the pillar here, so just a little sense of reflection off the pillar down there, just a little bit down through there. And this man in the sort of the shadows, just sort of lighten up the right hand side. Blend him in, because you don't want him to be contrasting too much. In fact, what you can do is get a darker blue and just blend through him a little bit and into the wall, so that he goes into sort of a shadowy silhouette. Just darken that down a little bit more. So you don't really see him, he just gets shaded down. And I'll make her brolly red, because it doesn't look, it just gets lost. So I'm going to make it red. And make the head smaller. Just touch a little bit more. I've got a big head there, so I'm just going to lighten up round there. Just putting some odd flicks of colour here and there, just to create little bits of suggestions of lightened things going on over here. Step back from it. I need something just down there. I don't like them black bits there that I put in, so I'm just going to tone them down a bit. Step back. And just darken down this little bit just here. I need something darker than that. Just to suggest edges of buildings, I'm just darkening down. I know I'm at the limit of what you can see on the pastel, but I'm just darkening down and fetching down some darker edges here and there. A few little flicks just to suggest things. Not black, just a sort of a darker brown here and there. Just under that car. I need to get a sense of more light in that background. So I'm going to put some yellow in there, as though some of these are open. Like that, as though they open. And some lights here and there. Put some behind that pillar there as well. So you just feel you're getting a little more light into the background, reflected light. And what you want now is some white edges punched onto them, so you've got a nice bright light. So you've got the yellow. What you want to do is some highlights of white, just to suggest the actual brightness of the lamps in there. I'm still not too sure about these darker bits, whether I should just... No, I'm going to leave them. I'm just touching them a little bit. Create a lot more light on the top of the entrance there. Into there. A few flicks of light in the background. And then just a lightish bluish grey down the edge of the pillar a little bit. Just sort of light the column up a little bit. Suggestion of edges. Tell you what, that's fine. I don't want to do any more with him. I want to put a little bit of reflected light, as though as though there's light from the background just shining through here a little bit. Like that. And just give that chap there a sense of shadow, silhouetted shadow down there. He's taller than the car. I need to wipe him out. He's taller than the car. He shouldn't be. So I need to wipe him out. Just put the light through there. That's the sort of the light coming from behind. Like that. I think that's better. And make him smaller. Otherwise, he's too tall. He can't be taller than the car. So his head wants to be more about there. Like that. And his legs want to be a bit farther down here. Like that. And then I'll just put a little bit of colour into him. Bit of colour, a little bit of light around the outside edges so he stands out. That's better. Can't be taller than the car. Just blur that person's face out. I don't like this just round here. I need to darken that side of that taxi down because the light is just too strong there. So I'm just going to sort of make that cab just as though you can see the edges of it a little bit. Like that. So it just got an edge to it. And now it's just a matter of putting some flicks of bright lights in here and there. Just little dots just creating the feeling that things are going on in parts of it. But not too much that it competes with the reflections, etc. I think I'm going to lower it down a bit for you because I want to do a bit on the top. It's sort of Art Deco architecture. I don't want to actually draw it all in, but I just want to suggest it a bit more. So just a little bit of light here and there. Just some lights just here and there, just flicking onto the tops of roofs, etc. And I think that's about it. I'm going to add a few little dabs of nice pink here and there, just to sort of give a little bit of a shimmer into the parts of it. Just at the edges, so you just got that shimmer of light, so it's not just dark browns. So just a little few pinks here and there. Don't want too much up here. In fact, I'll tone that down a bit. Don't want too much up this side because I want it to be, I want darks up here. When we crop the picture, I want darks. Just a little bit more pink in down there as well. A sense of reflection of it. Right, I'll push the picture back, the easel back, so that you can hopefully see it all. Hit the wall. Fetch the camera back a bit. Turn the camera around. Like that. I'll just raise the easel up for you. That's it, I think. Just angle it a bit. Straighten it up. I think that's what I was after, just this sort of knifing. It's very abstract, very just lots of big strokes and patches of colour. Nothing drawn in too seriously, just little hints of light. I might just get wait a second, just get a stronger edge just under some of them bits there. The thing is, my problem is I try to make it more detailed, and I don't want it more detailed. I want it to be reflected. I'm going to just put a little bit of blue reflection just down here instead of all the yellow. So I'm just going to drag in a little, just to tone that path down a little bit. I've got to stop. I've got to stop because I'll tell you where I do need some dark. And I have no, I've got a bit of black. Just into the side of that cab, just to get the side windows. Just so that it separates it a bit from the background. That's all it was, really. I'm going to leave it because I can carry on just working and doing stuff. Door. Oh, thank you. Love that, Eric. Thank you, Door. I think that's about it. I can, like I said, I can carry on more, but I think that's what I've achieved. Just a feeling of nighttime. Don't remember we did this as a watercolor quite a few weeks back now, but I think I'm happy enough with that being an abstract night scene. I'll put a mount round. The mount's the wrong size, but I can't get Linda to give me another one. Put a mount round so it always sets it off so that you can see it. So I did the other day, I did a nighttime scene in York. So this is a nighttime scene in New York. And you'll get the video. I'll send you the video up and see what that does. But I think we're all right with that. I've just got to clean my hands on the floor again because I dropped the black pastel onto the floor. And unfortunately, I'm treading it all over the place. So I'm going to leave it at that. I may do the odd bit afterwards. I don't know. I like to look at pastels for a while and see what they do, and then whether I need to actually do any more with it. But I wanted a bright abstract one, and I think March was it. We did it in March, Doe says. Yeah, so this is just a nighttime version of the same watercolor we did, taken from a photograph I did 10 years ago when I was in New York. The last time I was in New York. Right, okay, folks. I think we'll leave it at that. I'll play the out scene and then I'll do the video. So I'll see you later on. Bye.